So if you think about health as wholeness, the separation from wholeness would lead to dis-ease or disharmony in the body. After we have disease or disharmony in the body for a period of time, it can lead to disease. Again, going back to those lifestyle related choices. Another way to think about it is illness versus wellness. Now, on this continuum, you can see on the illness side, it leads to premature death. On the wellness side, will lead to high level wellness. In the middle, where it says neutral point, there's no discernible illness or wellness. And if we think about restorative medicine, the type of medicine that we're used to, it's usually deemed successful if they get rid of a symptom. So if there's disability or symptoms or signs of dysfunction, if they can eliminate those, that means that we're healthy. In a wellness continuum and in a wellness model, we're looking for higher and higher levels of awareness, education, and growth, ultimately leading us to high level wellness. The difference here is that illness has an I and wellness has a we. And one important thing to consider is that wherever community takes place, wherever you have a social network, healing can take place there as well, and high level wellness can develop. As just one example, let's take a look at the Pennsylvania Heart Study. Now, what happened in Pennsylvania was, in a place called Bangor, Pennsylvania, they noticed that people had a much lower level of heart disease than a lot of the neighboring communities, and they wondered why this was the case. So they went to that area, and what they expected to find was a bunch of people who were exercising, meditating, eating a great diet, and what they actually found was that they were just drinking, smoking Italians. But the difference was that those Italians had a great sense of community, and every Sunday they had dinner with their family and had a great social network. Now, over a period of time, they studied those communities, and what they found was that as the social networks broke down and as the families spread out, the level of heart disease went up to the normal average. Now, another way to think about this is surviving versus thriving. Now, Robert Simon Siegel says that survival reactions shift blood flow away from the frontal lobes of our brains, where creative thinking and reasoning dwell, to activate the more instinctual hindbrain operations of survival. Such reactions detriment aspects of business, relationships, and community. Another way to think about the illness-wellness continuum is surviving versus thriving. Survival reactions shift blood flow away from the frontal lobes of our brains, where creative thinking and reasoning dwell, to activate the more instinctual hindbrain operations of survival. Such reactions detriment aspects of business, relationships, and communication. So what the take-home point is here is if you're not thriving and you're just barely surviving, the blood that would normally go to the front of our brains to help us have awareness and higher levels of consciousness is actually being shunted away to lower levels that are just going to be dealing with survival. Now what that means is that people making decisions, our political leaders, our business leaders, maybe you just in your regular life dealing with your family, if you're in a survival mode, in a stressed out physiology, you're probably not able to think as openly or creatively or have great awareness of what's going on in the situation. Instead, you're going to be more reactionary. Now, the key is to get into that thriving mode, and that's what I want to talk about. So what can really be done? We need to change our standards for ourselves, for our families, for our businesses, and for our communities. And this is where reorganizational healing really steps in.